Welcome back to Clone Force 97. Today is going to be a big one because we are officially celebrating 1 year of Clone Force 97, the YouTube channel, a year of Star Wars conversations, bad predictions, and so much more.
Yeah, no, I don't think we landed any on Skeleton Crew this time last year. I don't think a single prediction was right.
Nope. No, none of those were correct. But as you can see today, I am joined by the people who helped me start all of this, Anthony and Charles. These two have been here from the beginning, and I wanted our anniversary episode to start off the exact same way the channel did, with the three of us talking Star Wars. So, guys, welcome back to the channel.
Thank you for having us.
I belong
Now,
here.
now there are two of them.
It's just been rightfully reclaimed. What do you mean? Thank you for having me. You're welcome. How about that? I'm just kidding. I missed you guys.
I so thought you were gonna go somewhere like basically talking like you were like setting up a joke and you were like really nice and it threw me off. I thought you were gonna talk. I thought you were gonna be like talking like badly about Star Wars or something like that. I was just like, I'm waiting for it, and you're just like, no, that was really nice. Thank you for that introduction. And it's good to be back.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you guys back because obviously, like, this started off with me putting out a post to want to start a podcast, and I wanted 2 to 3 hosts, and it was the three of us. And so much has happened in the last year. But I mean, this is Charles's first time back in a little while. Anthony and I have done some weekend stuff. But I wanted to make sure that if Clone Force 97 was to have an anniversary episode, that it would involve the three of us to start off the episode, because that's how this whole thing started. It started off with us doing Skeleton Crew, and then moving on to Andor, and me not understanding how Imperial credits work.
I forgot about that. Dude,
my man died by paper cuts.
My favorite moment of our entire watch series of Skeleton Crew was the first 5 episodes. Was every single episode was Brandon going, I think Hondo's going to show up. I mean, it's going to happen. And me and Anthony both being like, I don't know, but trying to be nice about it and being like, hey, man, I just remember every week looking at Brandon being like, hey, man, but if it doesn't happen, it's going to be okay. And he's like, no. Brandon's like, no, it's going to next week.
To Brandon's credit, that is a pirate show, and Hondo is the Star Wars pirate. Like, you think of like pirates really, and anybody beyond, you know, the obvious like Han Solo, like that's the pirate. So it made sense, especially with all the like integration that Disney was doing with the Rebels characters and Clone Wars characters and stuff like that. It was a surprise. Like, I think it was a safe bet. It's not like, you know, Brandon pulled that out of far left field. Like, no, it was plausible.
No.
Yeah,
but
the only thing we got was his ship. We got his ship in episode 2, and that was it.
Oh, like, I forgot that's why. Never mind, I forgot, and that was where you were like, "See, it's." Yeah. I forgot.
He's here. We just can't see him. We need to zoom in, like zoom.
So technically, if you want to get into it, really, Brandon was right. Hondo was there, just off screen.
I don't think it counts.
We just didn't see him.
No. I don't think it counts.
Doesn't count.
He's like, I'm not even willing to give you that.
No, Brandon was wrong. 100% wrong.
It's okay. That's what I said with bad predictions. Like, that's just everything I've been about. It's like, oh yeah, this is gonna happen. No. It's like, how did Nemec die? Did they just steal Imperial paperwork? No, they stole credits and they crushed him.
Well, yeah, with the Andor rewatch, that was, you're like, so what? Where's the paperwork? I'm like, what? He's like, where's the?
I told you
all he stole was money. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, how does knowing how their payroll work help the Rebels? Wolf Yularen is making 30,000 credits a year, and we're going to take down the Empire with that knowledge.
Death by HR.
It's just such a furious HR nightmare that they fire everybody. No,
payroll.
I had a younger family member recently hit me up who just like not even started getting into Star Wars. Like, they knew about Star Wars. They're like 11 years old, but they're like watching everything. And so so obviously I'm the person in the family to go to ask about that. And he started looking up stuff on his own, and he looks at me, FaceTime me, and he looks at me and goes, did you know there were 6 million people on the Death Star when Luke blew it up? I'm like, yeah. Why? And he's like, did you know that there was personnel and their families that lived on the Death Star? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, so Luke kind of committed genocide. I'm like, excuse me? What? 11 years old. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. I mean, but, they were blowing up planets with it. And he's like, yeah, it was a really awkward conversation because I was like, how did you quantify that?
There's a great scene in Clerks where they talk about that. And like, there's a contractor there and he's like, look, like you assume the risk when you like take on these jobs. And that's always kind of been my attitude moving forward. It's like, yeah, like those people knew that this was going to be a very high profile target for the rebellion, and they still took the job because the Empire probably paid a buttload. No, they actually probably promised to pay a buttload and then screwed them over.
They were like, you're going to get so much money. You're not even going to understand how much money you're going to get. It's going to be so much.
I
The
just
amount
like
of winning that we're going to do with this Death Star.
The Death Star's going to win so much. Look at Alderaan. Look at what we did at Alderaan. A lot of people say, wow, look what they did to Alderaan. It's great. It's amazing. Look what that thing can do. Don't you want to work on the Death Star? I'm not going to be on the Death Star, but you should be on the Death Star.
we talked about this when we were watching Andor season 2, but I would really like to see like the day-to-day of Emperor Palpatine. And like I would just love to see a scene of him like sitting at his desk and then just bringing in a cart of sympathy cards for all of the people who died on the Death Star for him to sign, because they aren't going to get any money, no retribution. Like it's just like you get a card and just Palpatine's just like, all right.
Dude, he wasn't signing that stuff. He signed one thing and they made a stamp and they lined up a conveyor belt and enslaved an entire planet, and they're just stamping sympathy cards to the galaxy.
What happened to the original Death Star? It's tragic. It's horrible. But we're building another one. It's going to be even bigger. It's going to be even better. We're using parts of the old Death Star.
It's going to be huge.
Build a new one. It's going to be
the rebels
huge.
are going to pay for it.
The rebels, we're getting money from, we negotiated a deal with the rebels. They're giving us a lot of credits to pay for the new Death Star. Hey, that's I've been getting better with that one. You got to admit, like from where we started a year ago to where that impression is now, I'm getting
a year ago. I think my takes, like I wanted to have hot takes and not just bad predictions. But I think I like toned myself down a little bit. And like recently I'm like, you know what? Like I'm not going to change how I feel for nobody. Like this is how I feel about this, and that's how it rolls. And I just did a State of the Union video and was like, yo, I hate Kathleen Kennedy crowd is wrong. Because like even at times like on this channel, like when we first started, like without having the full insight or the knowledge, like there were times that I have felt victim to that kind of baseless, nonsensical crowd who's just like, yeah, she's everything wrong in Star Wars and that's it. And now you see that same crowd who baselessly blames Kathleen Kennedy has now moved on to Bob Iger, and Bob Iger's the worst thing that's ever happened to anybody.
Yeah, I mean, I remember pretty early on, like we had discussions about how like people don't realize Kathleen Kennedy has this like very like storied history in Hollywood. She was a producer that worked very closely with Steven Spielberg. As a matter of fact, like I remembered this. It's not like one of those things where like I remembered it. I had to be reminded. I saw the 40th anniversary showing of Back to the Future in theaters, and I'm watching it, and she popped up in the beginning credits. I'm like, wow, like I forgot that she had anything to do with Back to the Future, but it makes sense because she produced the Indiana Jones movies, she produced the Jurassic Park films, like everything, and she really was a great choice to kind of shepherd the franchise into the sequel trilogy. But Disney is a very different company, a very stricter company than Lucasfilm was when it ran independently. And you can't just put the blame for the things that you like on one person, especially someone who just has this like amazing history in film. Like she's left an undeniable mark. And I never was one of those people that was just like, yeah, like everything about this sucks. It's Kathleen Kennedy's fault. She answers to people, and you can just kind of keep going up the chain of blame if you want, and eventually you're just going to realize like Disney is a huge corporation, and I don't even think it's all Bob Iger's fault. He has shareholders to answer to. I always thought that the Kathleen Kennedy hate was really like misplaced and stupid. And you know what? My favorite thing was like seeing all the clickbait like YouTube videos. Kathleen Kennedy
back down.
Yeah.
Back down.
Kathleen Kennedy gets fired. Kathleen Kennedy is on her last year. Kathleen Kennedy is on the way out. Like this stuff was happening around the time that episode 8 came out, and she's still in the company. She's still like, it's stupid.
I just don't. I've never been one to like look at any single person in a project, and then this just might be from my mind of like I've been a collaborator on multiple projects, whether it be music, film, theater, right? Where it's like if something goes wrong in a show, it's usually not due to like one person or the other. It can be a collaborative failure. There is things like you said in the chain of command where it can be one person, this person who has to answer to another person, who has to answer to another person and answer to another person. And things like that can mess everything up. But at the end of the day, dude, me personally, yeah, I see people's criticisms and I can recognize them and acknowledge them as valid. But for me personally, and like I've told you guys from the beginning, me personally, I've never seen anything where it like knocked me out of it so hard that I couldn't enjoy a good Star Wars flick or a good Star Wars show. There's never been anything so awful that I'm like, oh my God, how could they? Why would they? It's never, dude, for me, every new Star Wars project, whether it's my favorite or my least favorite, it's just making sure my childhood doesn't die, right? Like there's a piece of my adolescence that keeps growing on further. And even if I don't resonate with it, dude, I have little family members, like I said, now who are watching the franchise and are like my 8-year-old nephew, Skeleton Crew is his jam. And now he's getting into all of his stuff, albeit within reason. But so I just appreciate the franchise for what it is. Could it be better? Definitely. I'm personally I kind of want them to read that Hunt for Ben Solo movie because I think that could be a really cool redemption arc movie. But that's just my opinion. I think they have scrapped a lot of really good ideas that could have came to fruition.
Yeah, I agree. I did a video and an essay. Usually recently, if you guys have noticed, a video that I do, like if I'm doing a solo thing, it usually starts off as some random essay I post on Threads, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to turn that to a video. But I thought it'd be cool to see what his redemption looks like, because like Anakin's redemption, like for him, was relatively clean, other than like in Legends, like Leia wanting nothing to do with him. But relatively for him, it's like, oh yeah, we redeemed Anakin and he's dead. And now he's redeemed, like, because that was his redeeming act, was that he was going to sacrifice himself for Luke. But it's like, what does it look like when there is no sacrifice or he survives? And what does that look like when the guy who looks like Kylo Ren for the galaxy is actually now trying to help rebuild it? So that was an interesting thing. But also, like, for a lot of people, when they're doing this kind of looking for blame and they're looking for who to blame, like you start seeing them see like, oh, well, if I worked there, like, and Disney told me no, I would just do it anyway. And it's like, you know how quickly you'd be out of there. And like, and they're like, well, then I wouldn't work there. And it's like, okay, well, one, people have lives to lead, and it is ultimately at the end of the day a job. It's a wonderful job that I think any of us would be grateful to have, but you're not going to give up multi-million-dollar salary because Disney told you can't produce a Ben Solo movie, while also these same people who are wanting it are the same people that were bitching that they don't want to see the sequels continue. And it's like, it's one of these things, they're only upset because they don't get to complain that it was made.
All I want is Finn to be a Jedi. I don't care what happens
Facts.
in between, then or after. I just want to see my boy Finn become a Jedi. Because I feel like that's been like a main complaint too, right? Oh, Finn got shelved and stuff like that in the sequel trilogy. If they really wanted to make people happy, make Finn a Jedi. You do the Ben Solo movie or do the Rey Skywalker movie. But somewhere in those movies, Finn needs to play an integral part as a Force user.
I disagree with you so hardcore. I think
Get out.
Well.
No,
You've just single-handedly ruined Star Wars, Anthony. How dare you?
Good. Call
Thank
me
God
Kathleen
you don't
Kennedy.
work for Lucasfilm. Fuck.
I think that they needed to set that up in The Force Awakens. They really needed to lean into that, and that's what everybody was expecting. I mean,
So you
they
think it's like
showed.
too late?
I think it's too late. I think they showed him in the trailer with the lightsaber, and everybody's like, "Oh, like he's going to be a Jedi." And J.J. Abrams did nothing with that, and Rian Johnson did nothing with that, and then J.J. Abrams did nothing with it, but went and did a bunch of interviews about how, like, oh, like that was my intention. Well,
There's
then do it.
subtext and shit.
Yeah, no, there was the whole thing of like, Ray, I have a secret to tell you. Ray, I have a secret to tell you. And that was so stupid. And the entire time I'm like, what is this? Like, what are they going to reveal? And they didn't reveal it. And it was revealed in a series of interviews that J.J. Abrams did, which I call J.J. Abrams Explains, because when The Force Awakens came out, all the stuff that he didn't explain, he was explaining in interviews on IGN and Kotaku and whatever. I think that hinting towards his Force sensitivity in The Rise of Skywalker was so clumsy and bad that I don't want him near a lightsaber at all, ever. I think that his arc should be what it was originally supposed to be in Duel of the Fates, where he becomes a leader of the rebellion. I think that's a better path for him than just randomly training to be a Jedi with Rey. And also, if I recall correctly, John Boyega wants nothing to do with Star Wars at this point, right? Or did he kind of go back on that?
No. I mean, he had a whole discussion recently about what he would have done differently with the sequel trilogy, which I don't recall too much on. Because I mean, dude, trust me.
He wanted Finn and Rey to be together, not Reylo. He was like, Reylo doesn't make any sense. But I don't know. In the beginning, it started off as like he didn't like what Disney did. And then he came out and was like, not only this is what people forgot. It wasn't saying like people were like, oh, he's blaming the fans, which is what you see like a small sect on the Star Wars community thing. But like he came out and was like, this is my lived experience with the fandom. And then everybody's like, yeah, but remember when Disney took you off a poster in China? And it's like, okay, like
two things can be bad at the same time. Like,
yep. So now people are like, Finn needs to apologize. And then because John Boyega bought a lightsaber from one of those content creators that was also bad mouthing John Boyega and pretty much saying he needs to apologize to the fandom, now John Boyega is not as bad anymore. And it's like, John Boyega was never bad. He did nothing wrong. He said, Disney screwed me and the fans screwed me, and both can be true at the same time. But dude, I think he's trying to heal and come back.
I don't know, man. I think the way the fans treat a lot, like, dude, you like go back to the prequels. Hayden Christensen, the hate that guy got, just for them to turn around 10 years later.
Ahmed Best.
And Ahmed Best. Oh my God. And Jake Lloyd, like the things that were said about those actors at the time, just for people to like backtrack, and like for Jake Lloyd, like that shit's too little too late. That kid had irreparable damage done to his mental health because of Star Wars fans back in 1999. It sucks. It really does suck the way that the fans treat people, just for them to turn around in 10 years and be like, actually, I like that because I hate the new stuff. And it happens every 10 years. It's like, well, I hate this stuff now. So actually, I'm at best isn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's been that way since the prequels. Just this whole kind of toxic fan base that goes after the actors when they really should just go after like the person who's writing it, because they're just and directing, and not even go after them. Like, keep their criticisms like as actual criticisms, not attacks. Like I've famously said several times, I don't like J.J. Abrams as a director. Now, I'm not going to tweet at him. I'm not going to, write big old blogs about how much he sucks and how much I hate him. I'm not like, I don't.
If you ever wanted to write one just so I could see what it would look like, though, I would read it.
No, I'm not going to do that. I have better things to do. Like, it's just this weird obsession that has always just been completely unhealthy. And again, like, don't fault the actors for the way that they're portraying the character. That's on the director. That's on the writer. Like, they are acting things out. And if you don't like that, like, okay, like, keep it to yourself, or like write something about it and just say, I didn't like the character. I didn't like what the character did. Why are you making it personally by like attacking these people that, you know, are human? They have feelings. It's always been stupid. The only gripe I have with John Boyega, and I don't think we've ever talked about it. Maybe we have, but the only gripe I have is what he was saying about Rian Johnson in episode 8, because I would argue that his best stuff was in episode 8 as far as like the character goes. Now, I don't really like the Canto Bite stuff. I think that that could have been done better. But the fact of the matter is, he was removed from Rey, so he wasn't playing second fiddle. He wasn't playing second fiddle to Poe, which I think a lot of The Force Awakens was him kind of being a sidekick. He never really stepped up and was the main character. He was always overshadowed by Han and Chewie or Rey or Poe. And you have him taking the lead. And you have him having a genuine like character arc. And a lot of people can say like, I didn't enjoy that character arc. But the fact of the matter is, he ended The Force Awakens by learning how to care for someone other than himself. And that's Rey. And all he wanted to do was take off with Rey, protect her, keep her safe, whether it's because he was in love with her or whether it was because it was a friendship thing. You can argue whatever. But now at the end of episode 8, he learns to fight for a cause. And that should have been followed up in episode 9, which is what they were setting up with Duel of the Fates. He becomes the leader of the resistance. I think that episode 7 failed him as a character. I think that episode 9 failed him as a character. I think that in ways, episode 8 failed him as a character. But out of those 3, I think he had the best arc. He had the most screen time dedicated to him as kind of the leader of the scene. And him like bad mouthing it, saying like, oh, I didn't have anything to do in episode 8 and like not, you know, I didn't like working for Rian Johnson. I don't think he like explicitly said that, but it's definitely hinted at. I think that was an unfair criticism, and people really kind of jumped on that as well as just another reason on the long list to hate episode 8.
Yeah, and I liked episode 8 a lot, like especially with Finn's character in that episode, because like you said, he got his own story. He wasn't like attached to anybody. He didn't have to play second fiddle. It was just him. And me personally, I like the Canto Bite stuff. Like, it was a little corny, and I like playing through it in Lego Star Wars when I play that game. It's a fun level, dude. There's gambling. Who doesn't like to gamble? And then also, even though it was something that never got touched on again, I love the kids who work the stables in Canto Bite and them interacting with them and getting them to help them escape. You know, I thought that all those scenes were cool to me. So it does suck that he doesn't see them as like doing anything.
It's the only film in the sequel trilogy where he's not the sidekick. Rose is. And, you know, like that's a whole other conversation about how people treated Kelly Marie Tran. But it doesn't make sense to have criticism on that film. Like, he can say,
give him his own moment where he literally is about to sacrifice himself for the rebellion.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a character arc. It's there. Like, a lot of people just ignore it. And for him to ignore it, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I mean, you can have criticisms about like, I didn't like it. I wanted to go in this direction. I wanted to do this. I feel like, you know, the movie should have been this. Like, that's fine. Like, but to just completely ignore the fact that you did have a character arc, you did have character growth. You were not the sidekick. You were actually like the main character in the B plot of the film. Like, it just rubbed me the wrong way. And would I love to see him return to Star Wars? Yes, I would. And I hope he does. I know that especially early on, I saw a lot of the hate being racially kind of motivated when, you know, he was in the teaser. That's when I first noticed it. And definitely, you know, the China removing the poster and Disney allowing that and stuff like that. But I didn't really notice it personally after episode 7. Like, I think like, if there was hate, I was just really oblivious to it, but I definitely noticed it leading up to episode 7. Yeah, I mean, we say this all the time. Star Wars fans are horrible and awful, and it's
not us, not us three.
No, we're pretty awesome.
They not like us. They not like us.
Charles has famously said, in face of critiquing a Star Wars film, famously said, "I don't care." He was like, nothing bothers me that much."
What? Well, I've said that.
You might not remember it, but yeah,
No,
you
I
definitely
mean,
said
I
it
just
on a
wait.
live
What
stream.
was the context? I mean, I just.
Well, we were talking to me, you, and Nerd were talking about stuff in Star Wars, and Nerd was going on like
I remember hearing about
trying to
this.
have a debate with you about things, and you were like, "Guess what? I don't care."
Bro, that's how you
But
win an argument every
you
time.
you made it. You might have had a little bit too many fuzzy tauntauns that night, and I didn't even realize
Dude.
you had just called me and was like, "Let's do a live stream," and I think that was
No,
the
okay, I do.
correct-
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I was fucking sauced. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was on a good one that night. Yeah, no, I had a great time though. I do remember having a great time. I do remember waking up the next morning being like, "Is Brandon pissed at me?"
I just thought it was interesting because anytime somebody made a point, you were like, "I don't care.
I
It
don't
doesn't matter." Which honestly, like for some of it, not that
It's just a
like
sci
it's
fantasy movie. It's just a movie, guys. It's just a movie.
that's what it is. That's what it comes down to. Is that it
But
is
that's-
just
and
a
that's-
movie. Like, are you gonna you're just gonna stomp around all day? Now, I get that if you're making millions of dollars as a Star Wars YouTube content creator and the stuff isn't good, like you need something to make money on. But
I
it
would
just
venture
doesn't matter.
I'd watch more people who acted like I do about it than I do people who are like, well, actually, if you look back to the Star Wars novel, you would actually see in the source material that it says Skywalker has the biggest penis. Like, I don't. That's just a crude example. I'm sorry. I don't fucking care. I watch the movies and I've read some of the books. I'm literate. I can even spell literate. Ask me right now, how do I spell it? Lit sucked it. Sorry. All right.
Yeah.
But
But no, dude, it's weird because like I find myself on both sides of it. Like with your, like I have my gripes with things. Like it is known on this channel that I do not like Episode 9. I will not like. I've rewatched the sequels recently. Episode 9 is the worst Star Wars film of all time, and it does not bring me the same joy that I can find in the other 8 films. But if somebody says to me, "Hey, I like Episode 9," I'm not there to ruin their good time.
There's a balance that needs to be struck because it is fun to quibble and it is fun to kind of pick things apart and argue and disagree, but it has to be in good spirit, has to be in fun, and it has to be respectful, or at least like with friends where you have a rapport and you can be disrespectful. But yeah, I mean, I do like kind of having differing opinions with people, and that doesn't mean I'm right, doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It just means that I have my own opinion, I have my own tastes and preferences, and yeah, like it is fun to point out kind of flaws in canon and you know things that don't make sense and plot holes, like all those things. So I think it's fun to do that, and if it's not your preference to do that, that's fine as well. But I do want to drum up some more controversy here.
Shit, let's go. I know it's
here
gonna
we
be
go.
good if Anthony says it's gonna be controversy. Come on, motherfucker, let's see it.
I think the idea of the hunt for Solo or the hunt for Ben Solo was a really, really dumb idea.
Okay, hold on. Before anybody says anything, when I mentioned that earlier, I was expecting you to say some shit like that already. I was like, if anybody thinks that's a fucking shit idea, it's Anthony for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
It's a dumb idea. I still want to see it.
No, it's a
That's
dumb
just
idea.
where it's at.
100%. We know it's a dumb
fair.
idea, Anthony.
That's
It
fair.
just could be
I don't want to see
cool.
it. I don't want to see it, and here's why. All right, let me explain this, okay? So first of all, the talent behind this script that got discarded is incredible. I think Adam Driver is an incredible actor. I think that the talent behind it is great. Resurrecting a character who died requires a lot of backpedaling. It requires a lot of lore breaking. It requires a lot of just the logistics of this gives me a headache.
I can agree.
But I don't think that Ben Solo's arc for redemption was good in episode 9 anyways. I would have rather saw him double down and stay a villain. And again, I think that's pretty much the trajectory he was following with Duel of the Fates. Like, he was going to be a bad guy up until the end. He is now the main bad guy. There is no Snoke holding him back. There is no Emperor Palpatine coming back as a zombie clone, like leading him to the dark side. Like, he is committed to the dark side. And there's a point where you have to let people go. You have to let them, you know, kind of essentially claim their fate. And deeming Ben Solo, Kylo Ren, whatever you want to call him, I don't think it was ever the plan until episode 9 when people started catching on to the fact that Reylo was a thing. And they had to make people happy by having them kiss and, like, you know, kind of hinting towards that tension. I don't think that was ever the plan. I think that they wanted to set up kind of the reverse Darth Vader. Darth Vader starts off as innocent and gets corrupted. And, you know, then he kind of falls back to the light side through his redemption. That is through his son. You know, like, that's Darth Vader's arc. What they wanted to do is they wanted to introduce somebody who is evil with Kylo Ren and conflicted, and then at the end he embraces that evil. That's a compelling villain. That's something different in Star Wars that we never ever seen. I was on board for that. So the Hunt for Solo would have effectively, like, ruined that. And I get that, like, he was redeemed in episode 9, but that redemption was so rushed and so ham-fisted and so stupid, and I hated it. I groaned when Han Solo's Force Ghost showed up, and I know it's not a Force Ghost. I hate it. I hate it. But the other thing is, how do you redeem a character that has literally wiped out an entire star system? He was a part of that. It was several planets. Yeah, it was several planets. There was a huge body count. And I remember a lot of people were upset that
murder. What murder?
I remember a lot of fans, mostly female, were upset that Ben Solo died in episode 9. And I'm like, where would he go if he lived?
Yeah, for real.
To prison or executed.
Yeah, no, for real.
There's no coming back. Like, if you want to have him run away with Rey and they're living together and starting a family and whatnot, like, it's justifiably, like, understood that he's a coward. He ran from, like, the ramifications of his actions. That's
because there's no
heroic.
There's no, like, coming back from that after the new Republic. I guess gets its, like, legs going again. You know?
Yeah, that's absolutely not going to work. And a lot of people are like, oh, like, he was coerced. He was, you know, seduced by Snoke and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's not going to hold up in a New Republic court of law.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not going to. Hey, guys. Be like,
you were seduced? Yeah, anyway, so we'll give him fucking 50 to life.
Yeah, that's the Manson crime family, how that works out.
Yeah. You have to understand, I was a good little Jedi boy. Like, you know, you can ask anybody who used to know me, and
ask Luke Skywalker. I can summon his Force Ghost right now. Watch this. Just, Hera, shut up. Watch.
So the only way that I can like justify the existence of a movie like The Hunt for Solo is if it took place like as like this kind of like journey into like the afterlife and really kind of examine that. And I know that they're doing that with Ahsoka and the world between and that stuff. If they got really into that, that would make sense, where it's like he's like basically kind of like earning this redemption in the afterlife. Not like, I don't want the end to be like, oh, he's back alive, like now he has a second chance at life, because again, like, unless you're coming back in a brand new form, like a brand new physical form, which like they could do like a reincarnation thing, which I think is really convoluted and stupid. You're going to have someone who committed atrocities that gets a second chance at life when all of his victims don't. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, so who's to say his victims don't get a second chance? Huh? Talk about reincarnation.
The ones that died.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
They're just going to get Thanos snapped back to life.
I don't know what it is with you, Anthony. You bring out the contrarian in me, you know, where I'm just like, I have to come up with a counterpoint to this. I don't have one. I don't, because arguably you're right. It just would be fucking cool. Okay, man, chill out. It would
be cool if it was kind of this journey to redemption through the Force, and it was wacky and weird and like just crazy.
Fucking flashbacks and like back and forth.
I don't think that would work as a film. Maybe a TV show, but I don't think that it would work as a film.
You heard it here first. Anthony Ray Bench says The Hunt for Ben Solo should be a TV show. That's what he said.
I think that it would be really, really cool to just kind of like go on this journey.
TV show.
Yeah, an animated TV show would be good.
But
I would
Adam
love
Driver
to see.
has to voice it.
Yeah, I would love to see Adam Driver come back. I really, really don't think that there's... And here's also the thing that I need to remind people. I don't like when that like Mortis and World Between stuff like happened. I think that it kind of took away something that was special about the Force being this very simple concept. Anybody can tap into it. It's this thing that exists, you know.
It's not predetermined.
It's not predetermined. And now you're like, and that was the whole thing that George Lucas tried to really create early on, where it's just like, this is a religion that doesn't have any gods attached. Like it's just nature. That's all it is. It's just the concept of nature, you know, and you can tap into this force. And when you're introducing things like Mortis and the gods and the sun, like it's getting too religious for me. And I really like when the force is just this simple concept to explain. And there's people that use it in different ways. There's people that think of its origins being different things. But like when you get too convoluted and you have like an afterlife and you have a character going through that journey, it would be probably really visually cool and interesting to kind of have this like character repent and try to learn like where his life went wrong. And then at the end kind of accept and embrace like becoming one with the Force. But I don't think that I would personally enjoy it. And I don't think that audiences would really be able to gravitate towards it because it just gets really, really deep and really heavy into lore and crazy stuff.
Yeah, well, I think the other thing too, like, and I actually said it like in the essay and in my video, was that like people have this notion that like he's going to come back and he's like, oh, he's going to help Rey create the new Jedi Order. Kylo Ren could never be a Jedi Master again. I don't care like how people feel about it. He could only ever be a servant to the Jedi because again, you would have to find a way to atone for those atrocities. And like, how can you let, like, just like you said, how can you let somebody like that go who caused so much pain? Because yes, that excuse of I was seduced to the dark side that like his own family was okay with saying, that's not good enough for the galaxy. Dude, because I'll be honest with you, the galaxy's tired of these goddamn Skywalkers. Like that's what's going on. Like they're about to start banning the Skywalkers.
If there needed, like, I would love to see Adam Driver come back to play Kylo Ren again, but I think they should just adapt. Like if we're not going to do a new story where somehow he gets revived, which I'm not, yeah, it would be cool, but if it didn't happen, I don't care. But if we want to do another story where Adam Driver plays Kylo Ren, do it about how he becomes Kylo Ren. You know, do it about the Knights of Ren and how the comic series where he kills Ren and gets the mask and everything like that. Like do a movie or a series on that, you know? Because I would love to see Adam Driver play that character again, but if we can't take the character forward, why don't we do a story where he can still play it within the next 5 years? He's not aging horribly. At least
did you
guys
guys
on SNL?
Did you guys see the article of who is potentially the first Knights of Ren? Like the Ren.
Yeah. And I'm fine with that. I mean, I'm sure we suggested that, right?
I don't.
Or no, we didn't do.
No.
I don't know what you
No, because you wouldn't watch it with me.
Yeah, I'm sure I thought of it when I was watching it because the helmet looks like Kylo's. There's a connection there.
What are we talking about?
No. What I'm saying is this guy is supposed to be the first knight. This guy is supposed to be Ren. He's supposed to be the guy that Kylo kills and takes over the leadership of the Knights of Ren.
Man, now, I can't wait for the second season.
Now, this is 100 years before Phantom Menace. We have no idea how old Chimera is. He's a lot older. I think we've gotten to the point, at least Nerd and I have, that Chimera is a lot older than anybody gives him credit for. I think he might even be older than Soul. And now he's going to have to live another 130-ish years to then be killed by Kylo Ren. this guy's gonna have to live almost 200 years.
So
and we
wait,
have
they
not
think
seen
he
a
is
human
the
live that
Ren,
long.
like the Ren that Kylo Ren kills.
I
Yes.
didn't hear that part. I heard that he was the original Knight of Ren, and
Which is who Kylo kills.
the original, because I thought it was just a title that kind of gets passed.
Yeah, I thought it'd get passed down.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I have done so. I guess this is where I will make this disclaimer. I have done a few types of research, and depending on
Into
what
mushrooms.
day you are asking Google on who Kylo Ren kills, it is either the OG Ren or it is a different Ren. And because I asked Google, I was like, "Hey, would that mean that Chimere kills him?" And Google's like, "No." And then I ask it in a different way, and it's like, "Oh yeah, he like Chimere would be the first Knight of Ren." And
Let me
that's and
call
I'm like,
Adam real
"Well,
quick.
who kills the first Knight? Like who kills the first Ren?" And it's like, "Oh, Kylo does that." And it's like, "Okay, we have yet to see a human live to 100, as far as I know, and now we're going to have this guy live to 200." Kiadi Mundi, however old he is not really.
Well, he's not. I mean, he's a
I'm
humanoid creature, but he's not a human.
I'm fine with that because going back to going back to the Knights of the Old Republic lore, like I can't remember what Sith Lord it was, but basically there was a Sith Lord that had an extended long life because the
he
dark
was
side.
Exar Kun.
No, I think it wasn't Exar Kun, but like basically it's like, yeah, like you can use the Force to sustain your life with, anger, hate, rage, selfishness, like all the things that make the dark side, but it's not a life worth living. It's basically like at a certain point you become decrepit, like your body gets morphed and misshapen, you're in constant pain, and like the unwillingness to let go of your mortal body and let go of the power that is contained in the mortal body just makes you like a horribly disfigured creature. I would love to see that.
Aslan Rel does that. Aslan Rel does that in the High Republic. But he also guts out his own eyes, and but he is like completely decrepit.
I mean, who doesn't do that every now and then? You know what I'm saying?
But like
boys?
Chimere is not that involved. Like Chimere is a dark side user, but he is not that involved in the dark side to really get to that point. Is how
they
I
hit
feel
me
about
up
it.
To play Chimere, but I was too busy that week.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. I met Man the day I bought these pictures.
Yeah, no, me and Manny were homies, dude. That's my
in
boy.
Ocala, which Charles bailed on.
I didn't know. Fuck you.
Charles
bail on you.
Charles
asked me if
bailed
I
on
could do it, and I said I
Ocala.
couldn't do it.
Anthony was in a text message. You were like, "Oh, I'm so down," and then didn't go. But anyway, I met Manny at Ocala, but I don't. Me and Nerd have theorized, and as we've talked about, I am notoriously, for some reason, everybody can have an opinion, and that either be right or wrong. I'm the only person who can have an opinion, and it always be wrong. But
okay, you don't have an opinion. It's a theory. We call it a theory.
Yeah, my theories are always wrong.
Your Star Wars.
But
theory.
I'm like, dude, he's gonna have to live to be almost 200 years old, and for me, not gonna happen. Humans just love to die. Humans are the meat puppets.
Well, I don't know if we love to die. It's kind of like a.
Well, there's also things that we can kind of do to preserve someone.
What?
Jedi Survivor, didn't they freeze? What did they do with that one?
Yeah, they left him in like stasis or whatever. He was like kind of like in a tube or whatever. I know what you're talking about. The High Republic guy who immediately gets out.
He was just locked in a bacta tank. That's all it was. It was like a stasis bacta tank.
So you have stasis, you have the world between worlds, you have carbonite. Like there's ways to kind of bring someone into the future. So maybe that was the thing. Maybe that's what Plagueis did when he catches up with him. He's just like, I'm gonna.
That's what Nerd thinks, that Chimere could be the canonical Venomius, because like Tenebris notably trains another because he has no faith in Plagueis, so he trains Venomius. Not that he would be a, like, obviously he's clearly not a Bith.
Yeah, well, I thought we talked about this when we talked about the Acolyte. I thought we talked about that this could have been one of Tenebris's, because this would have put them at the same time period where Plagueis was still a disciple of Tenebris. I thought we talked about this.
The Acolyte. Did we watch?
We didn't watch the Acolyte, but we talked about it. We talked about it
I think
extensively because Anthony hates that shit.
Yeah, not a fan. Not a fan.
Actually, if you think about it, Anthony kind of sucks. Like, that's kidding.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Rude.
whoa,
I'm
whoa,
just
whoa,
kidding.
whoa,
I love
dude.
you.
Not cool. Not cool. I'll punch you in the
Anthony.
tit, dude.
My feelings are hurt.
I'm just kidding. Anthony's always Martian Armello.
Always.
Never.
No, just kidding.
Oh man,
Never.
sorry. My mom's calling me. I gotta. How do I hang this up?
Yeah, Anthony keeps
Can I
hitting us
not?
with facts.
I can't.
No, but I agree. I'll be honest with you, my rewatch, which like you and I have talked about, Anthony, like I've actually enjoyed it watching it the second time. You were like, yeah, I'm so glad. Like, I'm glad that you watched that. I could not have contributed to that if I was a part of it.
I really don't see any like value in me rewatching it because again, like I don't want to be the negative one that's just complaining about something through an entire rewatch. I want to really either watch something fresh so that negativity is kind of organic, or watch something that I like but maybe have some gripes with and I can kind of dissect or anything like that. I just didn't see the value in rewatching it for myself.
Yeah. Now,
But
talking about seeing things that are fresh, I recently have like stuff has been like living in my head that I'm like, you know what? I need to give that a second try, which is where the Acolyte came in. How are you guys feeling about our favorite little crew that started us all off? Because I've been thinking about it recently, and I'm like, that show was like for me was just so fun. Like it was like I had such a good time. Like I'm rewatching it right now, like just randomly, like whenever, and I'm not doing any episodes on it, but like I've been thinking about it and like talking with other people recently, and then with this 25 Chrome set that's been coming out that Tops did, I'm like, I was like, I really like, I don't know if it's you guys, probably was, but I was like, dude, I had just a great time watching that show, and even though I was wrong about Hondo the entire time, like,
No, dude. I said this when we were watching it, but it's the most fun I've had watching Star Wars in a long time. It was simple, it was fun. It gave you little tidbits into the universe and like different things like when and I'm not going to remember the names of any characters, but now I want to go rewatch it. But when they grab the lightsaber out of the pirate's vault and
yeah,
he goes to turn it on and it's fucking upside down. Like, dude.
a whim.
Yeah, whim.
Yeah.
Dude,
So it's whim,
all
Neo,
those little
KB, and
moments.
Pern.
Yeah, all those little moments were just perfect. There was like no notes for me on that show because it was just very innocent and cool and fun. And then you had Jod, who was fuck, but it added all the suspense you needed while keeping it lighthearted and cool. There was no like it's one of those shows where you can introduce anybody to Star Wars and be like, here, just watch this.
I haven't rewatched it since we did our watch through in real time with the releases of the episodes, but I loved it. I thought that it was the most kind of different thing that Star Wars had done in a long time. I think that it mostly worked for me. It really it felt like a really unique story set in a familiar world. And I don't remember a lot of it just because my memory retention is garbage these days. I blame my PhD studies. But I will be rewatching it at some point, and I'm sure that I'll enjoy it. I'm sure that I'll notice things that I didn't notice in the first place. There might be things that don't land for me like they did when I first watched them. But yeah, like overall it was a fun, fresh show, and I really, really hope that we get a season 2 or these characters show up somewhere else down the line because they are so different from what we're used to. And I would love to see them interact with the galaxy, like, because they're kind of like stuck in like this like time that the galaxy is forgotten. And I would love to see them actually interact and like learn about the Galactic Civil War, learn about, the things that happened off their planet. And
Yeah.
that I think deserves a second season.
Definitely.
Well, they got the New Republic showed up right at the very end of that. Like that, so now like they're intertwined or whatever. I think one of my favorite parts, if you guys remember, was like they're in this decrepit old ship and the Onyx Cinder, and like there are all these battles with it, and then you realize like And I think that's what took away from it. I still like doing them, but what took away from it was having like kind of having all these theories and still theorizing. I took away from some of the show. But then to find out like, oh, how did the Onyx Cinder get through? And it's like because it's supposed to be there. It's an Aten ship, and it was just in the shell, and they blew the shell off of it. And I was like, which the Lego had like set up a while ago, but nobody really understood why the Lego did it. And then it was like, oh yeah, this makes so much sense. And the only gripe that I still have to this day was that the New Republic shows up and then it ended. And I'm like, I wanted to see, again, same with Hondo. I wanted to see a notable figure, but also I'm glad that there wasn't. Like, the only character that was there from anything else was the character that was there from season 3 of The Mandalorian, which I forget his name, but he was part of the pirate crew who helps destroy Navarro.
I loved Skeleton Crew, and I will be rewatching it at a certain point. Not in a hurry to rewatch it, but yeah, I it's something that I would revisit. And it was a lot of fun covering it with you guys. It really was.
Dude, 1 year later,
Well,
here we are.
That's what I'm saying. And we did it like during the holidays. Like we started right, I forget when Thanksgiving was last year, but we either started like right before Thanksgiving or we released the episode like right after Thanksgiving. But we were right with the first episode. And I remember just immediately like all three of us hitting it off. I think the November 25th one was the episode where we just hung out. Like it was just us getting to know each other because we had only messaged on social media and then was like, yeah, let's do this.
I have a friend who's a comedian. I won't mention his name just in case he doesn't want to do the show. I know he's voiced interest in doing it in the past, but he told me that he would love to talk about the Skeleton Crew with us because it was just this show that like really meant a lot to him. And he was going through this like particular rough patch in his life. And he was just talking about how like great it was to have like Star Wars in his life, really making a difference when he needed it. So yeah, I'm gonna hit him up and kind of ask him if he's still interested in doing that at some point, and we can maybe kind of do like a comprehensive, comprehensive like a season review with him. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Boys back in town.
But
on that note, boys, I do have to go. I got to get some rest, but I love you guys. I gotta hop off.
I love you too.
Love you too, dude.
Don't be a stranger.
I know. Yeah. I'm gonna be back on. I'm gonna be back on at least once a month going forward. I got a new apartment. Everything's situated. The job is we're getting there. But it's cool. But seriously, so happy to see you guys again. And make sure you guys keep watching for the rest of the episode because Brandy's going to talk to way more people than just my dumb ass. So much love, boys. Don't be dumb. All right, peace.